Okay, we're back. So now, before we begin, I want you to understand this concept. How many slices of pizza do we have right here? We have one. We have a 1-inch segment. That is one piece. So this is where we start. Okay, you have one piece there. We have one piece here. Okay, raise your hand if you ever cut a pizza before. Good. Hopefully some of you raised your hand. When you cut this pizza, where are we going to start? Probably right in the center. So we're just going to go right here in the dead center, just like this. We're going to cut it right down the middle, just like that. Okay, cut it right down the center. How many slices do we have now? 2. When you're making a ruler, it's the exact same concept. We're going to take this one piece and we're going to cut it right in the middle, right here. Okay, be very careful when you're putting each mark on there. Really pay attention to make sure that you have an equal distance on this side compared to an equal distance on this side. Okay, they're pretty equal. Doesn't have to be dead center, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but try to make it so that you are equal spots from each side when you're putting each one. Okay, now when we're talking about a fraction, the very first fraction we're going to talk about is a 1/2 inch. Literally what a 1/2 inch is saying, this is one piece. This is from 0 to here is one piece of 2 total pieces. If we were to make a full fraction, we would have one piece and then 2 of 2 pieces. Okay, so but we don't ever really say that because it goes up to the next inch. 2 over 2 is 1, and then you ended up adding from the previous inch that you started from. Okay, now getting back to our pizza, we have our 2 pieces cut in half. What's the next thing we do? Turn it, and we're going to cut each of our halves in half, just like this. So I'm going to cut this in half, just like that. Cut our first half in half, and cut our second half in half. Same thing with this. We're going to cut this section in half, then we're going to cut this section in half. Remember, you're trying to make it so it's equal pieces between each one. How many slices of pizza do we have now? 4. How many slices of the ruler do we have? 4. Okay, so just like we did before, we're going to write our fraction right here. This will be 1/4. This will be 3/4. Okay, 1/4. This could be technically 2/4, 3/4, and if we label the very last one, we would have 4/4. Okay, getting back to our pizza. For those that cut a pizza before, we're going to cut each of these sections in half. We're going to cut this other section in half right here, just like this. So what we just did is we took our 4 pieces and made them 8 pieces because we ended up cutting those pieces in half. We're going to do the same thing right in the dead center of this. We're going to make our lines a little shorter this time. Notice as the fractions get smaller, as the portion of the inch that it takes up gets smaller, the lines are going to be getting shorter. This is simply an organizational system so that you can understand where the what lines are going to represent each one. Okay, first thing we're going to count. We're going to do 1/8. If we wanted to, we could say 2/8. We're going to say 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. Okay, now before we do the last portion of it, what did you notice on your pattern of your eighths that we did? We did 1/8. We didn't label this one. We did 3/8, 5/8, and 7/8. Anybody notice a pattern? Hopefully you noticed that we went up by counting. We started at 1 and then we did every 2 we added that. So we're counting the odd numbers on their numerator. 1, 3, 5, 7. That is a concept that's going to be really important when we get to our last portion. So right now, if you look at the denominator is doubling every time. We started out with 2, then we did 4, then we did 8. Now we're going to do 16, 1/16. If we were to cut these into 16ths, which I'm going to do that, even though I'm going to be annoyed when I eat it, but it's just going to have a lot of little slices. We're going to cut every one of these sections in half.